All right, everybody. Um, all right, what's going on, everybody? This is ZeroStrawhats here today with that manga guy, and we're here today for episode number 3 now of the Shonen Jump Weekly. We had a good time last week talking about Kaiju number 8, and now we're back to just us two, and it's gonna be a good time. So today we have a few different topics that we're trying to go over. The first topic is gonna be Phantom Seer, the new series in Shonen. We're gonna then talk a little bit about Burn the Witch, and then we'll go over to some the Promised Neverland. So that's kind of the plan we got going today. But go ahead. You got anything to say, Ben, before we get started?
Uh, I love you all.
that was good. I like it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're talking about today is Phantom Seer, and this is a series that just came out. There's 2 chapters now. I actually read the first 2 chapters today, so I'm very interested to go ahead and talk about this. Do you want to go ahead and give your first opinions on the series as a whole, and what's your background really with this kind of series, like a shaman and ghost kind of series?
Well, let's get off. The story is by Goda Toga, and it's arts by Matsuda Kento, which I do have to say the art I like. It reminds me of Jujutsu Kaisen, but a little bit more lightheartedness to the feel of it. The story, of course. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Shonen Jump right now is just pushing all of these ghost, exorcist type, supernatural uh, mangas out, which I don't know. This feels like it's a rehash, right? It feels like it's Bleach and Jujutsu Kaisen, and when we get into something else that I won't spoil for it, but it's definitely it needs to do more than what it is to differentiate with what's going on. But
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I do feel that it's a good premise and the characters are likable. I just hope that they push it farther than what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that this series is definitely nothing like super new. Right off the bat, I think that's interesting because the series that this is really replacing is either Time Paradox Ghost Rider or Bone Collection. And Bone Collection, I don't know if you read any of that, but was kind of very similar, like a ghost series. So they kind of replaced one ghost type series with another one, because there seems to always be at least one of these kind of series in the magazine. And so here we are. We got the new one. I think the art's pretty cool. I think that like this might be a really weird comparison, but I see like kind of like a if Junji Ito was going to make a shonen, I feel like some of these panels look like kind of like what he would do if he were to do a shonen. Um, but overall, I think the story itself is it's interesting, but like you were saying, I think it needs to do a lot more to really stand out. I think one thing I did really enjoy like very early on about this chapter was just the whole dynamic of you might want to do something, but sometimes you're suited better for something else. But then they also kind of brought it back around and saying how um, even though you might be better at one thing, if you're passionate about one thing, it's okay to follow that too. So I think like the whole you know moral behind the first chapter was kind of interesting. But we can get more into the actual plot real quick. One thing I really want to ask you is like, what do you think about the whole demon that we see, the whole like shadow shaman that he brings out at the end? I know we're kind of jumping to the end real quick. We'll come back around, but I really want to talk about that because I think that's the coolest part.
I mean, I don't. It's the same thing, right? It's the exact same. Uh, Dude summons super crazy demon that will kill anything that you know it has contact with, and I like that it has like that old samurai type face guard from the feudal era, the Oni face guard. That's cool. I, I, all right. Here's the thing that I have an issue with. Um, we have 4 Exorcist Shonen Jump titles right now, and
What's the 4? So we have
Blue Exorcist, we have Twin Star Exorcist, we have Jujutsu Kaisen, and then we have Phantom Seer.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you bring in Burn the Witch, which is, we'll get into that, but it's like they're trying to get more edgy with the magazine, but it's kind of just lumping everything together. What I like, and not the demon itself, but the fact that that he has this ability, but he just doesn't want to do it. And you find out a little bit later in chapter 2 why he's so hesitant about it, but I like how he's not this showboaty, I can do whatever I want, I can be the best, in the world. He's basically forced by his sister to do this, and all he wants to do is have a normal life.
Yeah, and I think that did definitely bring some good comedic moments between the two, especially in the second chapter with, the phone call with his sister, him forgetting his phone on purpose. I think, that was a good dynamic in the story. But I think the coolest character in this series so far is definitely the sister. Her design's cool, and I'm interested to see more about her. But one thing I will say, like going back to the demon we were just talking about, like it is you kind of like thing you see in every series, but this might just be me as a big Shaman King fan. It gave me huge Shaman King vibes right off the bat, so I did enjoy that. Like when that whole panel happened with him first summoning the demon, I thought it was really cool, and it made me happy. It made me think of Shaman King. It made me excited for those new releases. But you're right. It really isn't anything new yet, but I think that it's still early on, and it still has a lot of potential to keep on um, changing and being different. I think it's cool. It looks like the girl here is actually going to be more of the main character than the actual shaman, which is pretty cool. I thought he was going to be the main character.
You thought he was? Well, I mean, it starts off with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the story, and it's so the basic premise is there's this girl that random occurrences always happens to her, that it feels like she's being she's protecting everybody, but what's really happening is phantoms are being attracted to her, and that starts to cause chaos. So this shaman, whose shamans are made to destroy phantoms, kind of get teamed up, the uncanny pair team up type thing, where it's basically this kid is enslaved by his sister. His sister's one of the best shamans out there, and for some reason he's forced into doing this against his will. And it's just funny how none of them want this to happen to him, but they just kind of have to face the facts and do what's right for it. What I wanted to also say is, even though that I'm not totally 100% in line with the story yet, the first 3 pages is still better than all the chapters of Time Paradox Ghost Rider, in my opinion.
Ooh, no. That is shooting some bullets right there. I don't know about that.
The first panel is better than 14 chapters of of Ghost Rider.
We're gonna end up in a big argument live stream if the conversations keep going this way. No, man, I actually have been slacking on that Time Paradox Ghost Rider ending video I need to make, because I'm gonna be a little upset talking about it. I think that's the most wasted potential in Shonen Jump in a very long time. But we're here to talk about Phantom Seer. If we get time in the end, we'll come a little bit back to Time Paradox Ghost Rider. But I think it was good when you were bringing up how you know, all these things are happening to her, all these bad luck, and we find out later the reason why that's happening is because she's attracting, these ghosts to her. And what's really funny is like we see this whole thing, like especially in the first couple pages where the glass is breaking and she rescues her friend, and like we see the same thing with her helping the kids. She always wants to help people, and it's really cool. But it's also kind of weird because we find out that the reason these bad things are happening to her to her friends is because of her and the dangers she brings. So I think I kind of felt bad for her, because her whole thing is wanting to save people, and then she finds out that the reason she has to save people is because of her. And it's kind of I felt bad for a little bit there.
I mean, she's gonna save people, right?
Yeah,
If we know Shonen, like we know Shonen, she's gonna become a shaman. She's gonna become a shaman, and then she's gonna find out that the sister is evil and they have to fight, and that's my
man, man.
prediction.
My man's coming in with the big predictions right off the bat. I don't know, man. I kind of disagree. I think that they're gonna keep her not being a shaman, and they're gonna continue working together. But I think, you know, it the Tori here will kind of do more of the shaman work. As far as the sister, I really don't think she's gonna be evil. I think that would be a little like too easy. I don't know. I feel like some other stuff's gonna happen, but I don't necessarily think she's gonna turn evil. But it's so early on. It's too hard to tell yet, but we'll see. I did like the. I want to say I really like the train scene in the end with all the eyes poking out. I thought that was like kind of creepy, and then that's when and then we also get this one scene with like all these phantoms on Riku, the girl, and they're like she's like naked almost. And I thought that was kind of like a little weird scene. And then the next page we have this like big ghost with his teeth open. Some of those panels and the way they looked just kind of reminded me of like a more shonen-esque Junji Ito kind of panel. But
It's
I think
like
the
if
art's
it's like if somebody tried to recreate uh, Ito's work without being slapped with an M rated. M
yeah,
rated.
exactly. Um, and I did like I said I like that. I think it definitely has potential. But I don't know, man. It's hard making it in shonen now. The big question I kind of want to ask you is, from what we've seen in the first two chapters, do you think this series is going to make it? And if not, how long you think it'll stay around?
Um, but I'm all right. I'll say it's gonna stay around for longer than 14 chapters.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
Unless they do something in the next few weeks to really invest me, I I could see this maybe going 40 chapters and that's it.
Yeah, I can see that too. 'Cause I think there's a couple other series in the magazine right now that are kind of in the axe range right now, the where this series could get a little more leeway. But I guess we're gonna have to go and see. That's kind of all my opinions really on Phantom Seer so far. I don't know if you want to jump into chapter two and talk a little bit more about that, or if you want to go into the next topic.
We
But
can just go to Burn the Witch.
okay, that sounds good. So we're gonna go to Burn the Witch. I think before we talk about Burn the Witch, obviously this is made by Kubo, the person who made Bleach. So what's really your experience with Bleach, and what are your opinions coming into the series, seeing that it's the same creator?
I mean, I never really watched Bleach when it first came out. I wasn't too fond of any of the big threes, to be honest with you. And in college, I kind of got into Bleach a little bit more. Got out of it during the Bount uh, season because
Mm,
filler seasons are stupid, and
yeah,
anybody who likes filler seasons, stupid too. No
yeah. And
offense.
Bleach has a lot of like filler actual like arcs. So
So
I can understand that.
I wanna get the manga because it doesn't have that, as well
Hmm.
as I like the art style. Bleach and Zombie Powder, the art style's really good. So when I heard that it was like a limited series, um, Burn the Witch by Kubo, I was like, all right, let's read this. Then there's a special one shot that came out, that you can read, and then for some reason it got picked up for an anime series, right? And then he made this, like, what they're saying is kind of like a companion to the anime movie or the miniseries that's happening. Um, so 3 chapters are out right now, and it's gonna be a 4 chapter series, and then uh, there's gonna be a tankaban for the manga, as well as on the same day that anime is gonna be released on Crunchyroll on October 2nd. So that's what I got in, like, that's what made me kind of excited for this series. Was I'm like, limited series? What the hell does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out.
Yeah, well, when I heard it was gonna be a limited series, I was a little disappointed because I think Kubo is a great creator. I was a fan of Bleach. I didn't get into it into the later years, but I did read the whole thing. I think they kind of did him a little dirty in the end, making him end the series quicker than he wanted to. I don't know if you knew about that. Um,
He
he
had
didn't really
to.
get to, yeah, he didn't really get to finish the last arc. Even though I don't think the last arc was the best, I still think with what he's done for the magazine, you give him that time. But anyway,
They
he's
they
back.
they gave him plenty of time, and he just kept writing crap. So
I give you that, but I don't know, man. I just think that it could have given him a little bit more time. But the last arc wasn't the best. That's for sure. But one thing I want to bring up really quickly, because this is something we were talking about earlier, is how the third chapter came out the same third chapter without the limited series. But I just looked up on the website again, and they added the limited series back onto to the third chapter. So any like questions we had on that is kind of answered. They added that back on there. But my biggest concern with the series, before we get too deep into what it's actually about, is the fact that from what we've seen so far, I just don't understand how in the last chapter, chapter 4, it's gonna end in any kind of conclusive way. Um, we talked about how it could be possible that the series, the 4 chapters come out and then the OVA or the movie or whatever it is that we're exactly getting that comes next follows after that manga. But if this is the what we're getting and this is just getting transferred into an OVA, I'm kind of scared because I don't know how it's all going to end in one more chapter.
well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah, we will.
Basically,
Yeah.
what I see happening is they're going to defeat what's his name, with the Dark Dragon, to save what's his name, and then they're gonna have to fight all the other ones that we saw, from
Yeah.
what's his name. And
Hmm.
I say
Yeah.
what's his name because honestly, there's only one character I like in this whole series.
I kind of feel the same, man. I knew we were gonna be talking about the series this week, so I tried to do my best to read it and understand what was going on before we talked about it. But I wasn't enjoying it enough to like really like want. I felt like homework more than actually reading it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that okay. So this is what my understanding of what it's about. So pretty much we have this world. Well, we have London, and then from London you can go into another world called Reverse London, and we see our main character Nini do that right off the bat. And there's this world where there's almost the dragons, and there's light dragons where they do a lot of things for the community and they help out. But then there's dark dragons who cause a lot of trouble. And one of the main characters we meet, Balto, whatever his name is, the guy who we're talking about at the end, who attracts these dark demons and these dark dragons, and the main characters are kind of having to fight off the dragons that he's bringing. I don't know, man. It's been okay. One thing I'll say is I love the art because it does. It's you can definitely tell out the best Kubo. Um, I like how he says like spell 44, like because I don't know if you know on in Bleach they do the keto with the numbers on them. So like the spell 44 reminded me of that. So like, you see the Bleach in here, and from what I understand now, this actually takes place in the same universe as the Bleach, which I don't know if it was a good move or not. But either way, that's kind of what they decided to do. But and even in this first chapter, we get a little bit of like, um, you know, backstory of these characters about what motivates them. Like we see that Nini cares about, some points, and then the other person cares about the achievements. But like they never really go too deep into exactly what that is and why we should care that they want that. I just think that there's not a they're doing so much in a short amount of time. I just don't know how it's gonna end up being a conclusive series.
Well, it is a companion to the anime, so like we should get answers in there as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
So the big thing with Burn the Witch is it's confusing, it's convoluted, and it's kind of just dumping everything on you right away.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing about this was when you figured out that Reverse London was in the Soul Society. Like that was the coolest part. I was like, what? But here's another thing. Like you could do so much stuff with this, having it in the Bleach universe, and they kind of don't even bring up anything that was in Bleach, where like dragons, there's a very important person in the Bleach universe that deals with dragons, and if I don't see him, then I'm just gonna give this a 0 stars. Zero out of 5 stars. If they don't bring my Ice Boy back.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. It would be cool. That's my boy. I'm trying to think of his name. Starts with the T. What's his name? Oh my gosh, with so much that I read Bleach. But I know you're talking about. That's like one of my favorite characters from the show too. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So get ready for your zeros.
I mean, Toshori is probably the coolest character ever. Just a cameo. Just show me him in the background. Just show his ice dragon. That's all I need. But we'll figure it out. We'll see what happens next week, and then I'll probably check out the mini series on Crunchyroll and see where it goes from there. But I know you really want to talk about something meaty, something put together, something that's not 2 chapters long. So let's get right into that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. The series we're going to talk about next is one of my favorite series that has ever been in Shonen Jump. I think this is a very, very well written series from the beginning to end. Today we're going to talk
Naruto.
Naruto is great too. That would have been a great one too, man. But nope, not Naruto. We're doing the Promised Neverland. And I'm gonna here's how we're gonna do this. I want to talk a little bit about the first season first. I feel like everyone has seen the first season. If you haven't, there will be spoilers for the first season, just so we can kind of get a base going. And then once we talk about that, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the manga so that people that haven't seen it, we'll give them a warning real quick before we go.
There's gonna be spoilers, boys.
There you go, right there. He said it, not me. Yeah. So first thing off the bat, I want to ask you, what was your overall opinion? I know you made a short video on this, but just so anyone who hasn't seen that yet, what's your overall opinions on the first arc, the whole escape from Gracefield?
If you haven't seen that video yet, you should.
Exactly. Stop watching. Go watch that one and come back.
Don't even come back. If you haven't seen it, don't even come back. I like the... Yeah, like everyone leaves. Yeah. Well, fine, okay. So the jailbreak arc was slow as dirt. Like, I get it. It's character building. It's learning about these kids, learning about the presumed world that they live in, and it's a cat and mouse game between them and their foster mother. But it was slow. Like, it probably could have been cut by a third and still done the exact same thing.
I agree with you to an extent. I do think it was a little bit long, but I also think that it was such a big deal for them to escape from that the farm, because with the moms there, and the location of the farm being on like a cliff, and like them being surrounded by all these other plantations, and then on top of that, like them trying to take everyone with them. I think that um, the length of it could have been a little bit shorter, but I'm not necessarily mad with the length because I did enjoy everything that did happen during that arc. Um, but I think that the next arc that we're gonna talk about next was
When
paced a lot better
all right,
and probably the best arc.
when you have to convince somebody to pick up the last three books, the last three volumes of the jailbreak arc to like multiple people, there's an issue. Um, now I think The Promised Neverland is one of the best Shonen Jump titles I've ever read, but that jailbreak arc, they could have screwed themselves so much by the useless. They basically M Night Shyamalan their first arc so much that I was just like, oh, they did something. What's gonna? Oh, yeah, something happened. Ooh, go figure. There's a plot twist. So I'm glad that doesn't happen. After that makes me happy, but the every chapter there was a chapter with 4 fucking plot twists in it. You didn't have time to react to the first one until the second one comes out, and then the whole point of the sister Crone comes, and she's a pointless character because she doesn't do anything besides give the characters one item.
Well, that
which they could have found anywhere else, and I'm not getting mad. Not.
Oh man, I agree with you saying to an extent, but dude, that one item was the item that they needed, and I'm trying to think back to.
They could have found that pen in Mother's little secret hideout room. They could have found it anywhere. They could have found it in the library. They could have found it outside. They could have found it practically anywhere, and they just put the Sister Crone just to like add a little bit more suspense.
Well, I also think that they weren't really looking for the pen either. They didn't really know what the pen was until even really I think after they left, they really didn't even understand exactly.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is the whole point of that character was useless because they could have just found it randomly and be like, "Oh, what's this?" And then, Norman figures it out that screen pops up, and I feel like they just added stuff to like lengthen it and to be like, "Ooh, we're doing something new," and that the whole plot twist stuff doesn't happen that much after that.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's one of those stories where we're inside this farm and we know so little about the outside world that there were so many plot twists to learn in the beginning. But once we get out, once we kind of, and I think there's one really big plot twist that comes really soon after that, and that's obviously when we learn what the promise actually is. But I just think that the reason why there was so many is just because how little they really knew. But I couldn't understand how that could have been a little bit annoying in the beginning arc. But I'm kind of interested to see because, in my opinion, the first arc was one of the best. So I'm curious to see what arcs you like the most from where we're at right now. But I think that the big arc that we really need to talk about is my personal favorite arc in the whole series so far. Well, the whole series in general, which was the Goldie Pond arc, and kind of your opinions on that arc.
I mean, that was the perfect arc. Now, when I say Goldie Pond arc, I mean, I differentiate what people do for like the search of Minerva and all that, and I say from the ending of the jailbreak arc to them getting back to the shelter, that's Goldie Pond for me.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. I guess there is a little in between there with them, meeting Sonju, and some other characters. What's up, Otaku Mike? Nice having you in here, man. But I do think that sorry, I lost my track there for a second. But yeah, I can see how you can definitely put that as a whole.
It's just the lead up to Goldie Pond, to figuring out what Goldie Pond is, getting, the hunt and the resolution. I think it was perfectly paced. I think they could actually have gone a little bit longer with it. Gave some of these hunters a little bit more backstory.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have no problems with it. I think Goldie Pond was the I would say second best arc in the whole series.
Okay, I'm interested to hear first, but we'll wait for that. Let's talk a little bit more about Goldie Pond. Um, I think that the whole arc of Goldie Pond was so suspenseful from the very beginning. When Emma gets thrown in there and you have no idea what's going on, and you see these other kids, and then you figure out this whole hunting game that's happening. But what really makes this arc so great, in my opinion, is the final battle between Luvis and Emma. What's kind of your opinion on that final battle between those two?
Um, I mean, generic. You know, it wasn't anything special. It was. I think what really stands out for it was how the kids all worked together to fight and to destroy their captives and to not be cattle anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I did like that last fight more than you did. I think it was a very well done fight. But I do think the biggest part of the whole story is really what you were saying, the them learning how to live and not be running their whole lives. And I think another really awesome thing that was really cool in the series was meeting Lucas and seeing Lucas's connection to, at that time we didn't know his name, the man who was living um, in the bunker. And I just think that that whole tie around where we kind of see that, he's really upset because he lost his whole family, and then we go to find out that one of his family members made it, was like a really cool turnaround. I was really excited when that happened.
Yeah, definitely. Look, what can you say? You know, people being beautiful, people finding out that the person that they kind of sacrifice themselves for is still alive, and training these kids to survive. And I just
Yeah.
I feel like Luvis was overpowered character to be overpowered, and then they kind of didn't use any of his like abilities at the end.
I think he did. I'm trying to go back and think. Like he fought pretty hard in the end there, and then he have like a moment where like I'm trying to be very careful what I say because, so, yeah. Um.
We already said spoilers, so don't worry.
Okay. But I don't know. Just I did like that fight a little bit more than you did. I think it was pretty well done, and I like how they all kind of teamed up together in the end to win. And I like how in the end, Hugo and Ray showed up like the last minute. I think that was super epic. I mean, you knew it was gonna happen, but it was still cool when it happened. And even on like the little fights between the other demons inside like the forest, it was just a cool arc. I loved all the fights in that arc, and I loved the, like you were saying, the way they worked together and how they came out from Goldie Pond. And I think Goldie Pond is definitely one of the most interesting arcs in the whole series.
Yeah,
In my opinion, the best.
I think the other man eaters were more interesting than Luvis. Uh, Luvis was just overpowered to be overpowered, and all the other demons were there, and they showed emotions, and they showed fear, and they showed kind of their cockiness and how they lost. And Luvis was just like, "Oh, I just want to have a thrilled fight. That's all I care about."
But I kind of liked it
Oh,
though. I kind of liked
oh,
his.
fine. I'll just sit here and wait for your plans to all unravel.
No,
Um,
I'll admit that's very shonen. That's very shonen right there. But
here's the thing. Um, I wouldn't do that. I would just be like, all right, I'm killing you and you and you and you, and you're dead and you're dead and you're dead, and I don't care.
yeah, but the whole point of his character was just that he was bored. The whole point of his character was that he was tired of having no real fight anymore, because the whole point was before the whole farm system became a thing, demons had to actually fight for their food, and it came to a point where that wasn't what was happening anymore. And even the people that did come to Goldie Pond usually didn't put up a good fight. So for him to get someone like Emma to finally give him a fight, it's what he's been waiting for his whole life. So I think it.
So why didn't he join Soju? Uh, on trying to help these kids escape so they can hunt again.
Well, I also think that he was a part of the higher ups in the world, and I think that
Exactly. So he had a better way for the kids to get in to destroy the promise, so he could start hunting humans again.
yeah, I get what you're saying, but he had a couple people above him too that I think that would have ruffled some feathers if he tried to do that. Which there's some other people you'll meet later from where you read yet that were involved in that. I don't want to talk about too much of it yet, but
All I know is the arc afterwards, the search for the search for the seven walls. Uh, that's probably the best arc out there.
I really want to hear your opinions on why that's your favorite arc. I thought Goldie Pond was better. I did like that arc, but I thought Goldie Pond was more impactful, was more just thrilling in my opinion. But what's your opinion on that Seven Walls arc, and why would you pick that one as your favorite?
So it comes from where you find out about the uh drawing the blank, Minerva and his team, and the main human villain
Mm-hmm.
who's hunting down, and you find about Andrew and all them basically making it so the kids aren't safe regardless of demons or humans. They find Norman again, where you find out he's completely changed as a person.
Yeah,
You find out one of the coolest killers, the dude with the bag over his head.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a brute, you know. Just can slaughter the big two panel page where he's like just slicing people up when they're trying to get the medicine in the escape, and like without effort he's just killing demons left and right. That was epic. Um,
Yeah, he had a couple moments like that where he was, really standing out, slicing up a lot of demons. He was a really cool character.
and you find out, Emma wants to save everybody, even the demons, because
Which is,
during all this time she's went out into demon settlements and saw, there's children and there's families, and there's more to life than just these farms, right? There,
and I really like how they touched that. That was really cool.
so she wants to save them all, and she doesn't want anyone to really die that doesn't have to. Um, so she searches for the seven walls, and she has, a big story with Ray that's in this like a hallucination type portal to get there, and you know you find the backstories of the demons, the hunting, the actual promise that was made before that, and the Rattree clan, and what's going on there. And then you meet one of the probably the coolest characters by far, besides, Emma and Ray, is Aishi,
Mm-hmm. She's one
the
of my favorites.
the the girl that was raised by a demon. I think she is the coolest character by far in this whole series, because
Yeah.
you think she's with Norman and she's trying to kill these demons, that helped the kids out earlier, and then you find out that's not the truth, and she's actually there to save the demons. And
Yeah, I'm happy you brought that up because that was one part that I didn't remember if it happened right at the cutoff of where you're at, or if that was something that didn't happen yet, where you found out her true intentions. I'm glad you know about her because I think she was one of the coolest characters in the whole entire series. Very interesting, and I think that she definitely deserved more screen time than she got past the volume 16, because she is such an interesting character. That was a whole thing that I never thought we would get into, the whole her being raised by a demon. And then when she was raised by a demon, I was like, okay, this is, that's crazy. But then to find out that, she actually thought of the demon as her actual, dad, and she loved him, was really just, now that I was expecting it, was really cool. But to kind of go back a little bit to earlier in the arc, I think this is a moment that I think 99.9% of the people who went into this series didn't believe that Norman was gone for good. I mean, I think we all knew we were going to get Norman back at some point, but the way we got him back, and just that moment of seeing Emma and Norman with each other again, there's no like explaining the feeling I felt when I read that chapter. Like it's just, it feels so like heartwarming and so like, everything we've been through to finally get to this moment, and then to figure out everything Norman's been through and what he's been doing, for the for for the for these kids, and what the amount of power he has. And I think one thing in particular that I was a little bit disappointed with, but I'm okay with the fact that they did it, is how they didn't really go over his whole escape. They kind of did that off screen. I'm okay with it because that would have like dragged the series along a little bit more, and maybe that wouldn't have been as interesting. But I'm just glad to know he made it out, and I think that having him back has been so cool. But he's definitely not the same Norman, and the more the series goes, you'll figure out more about what Norman's going, what Norman went through for us to get to this point, and it's just cool, man. It's just really good to see Norman again.
I'm just glad that you spoiled that Aishi isn't going to be around for much longer.
Say it again?
Nothing.
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's not around.
Nope. We don't talk past volume 16.
Okay.
Because I don't want to cry.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Even though there's only 4 volumes left.
Yeah. When you're caught up, we'll have another conversation about that, and okay.
In a year.
Yeah, when that time comes. But my whole point is, I think that my biggest concern with what we've gotten so far from where you're at, I think there's a lot of characters in particular that don't necessarily get enough time. I think we should get a little bit more of the Gracefield cast other than Ray and Emma at times, and I would like to see a little bit more of Norman's group, the 4 people he kind of met. I think there's just certain characters, and even some of the people in Goldie Pond, I just think that there's some characters you wish had a little bit more moments up to that point. But I think that overall, it's just hard when there's so many great characters to really give everyone their time. But one thing I want to go ahead.
I really want to now. Don't say yes or no for this, okay. But I definitely want to see Emma have to fight Norman. I really want, whether it be in the capital, or soon after that, where she just has to put her foot down and stop this tyrant from destroying everything, because of because she's making a new promise. Like that's her standpoint, and I don't know what the whole circumstances for that, but I want her to have to face against Norman, who's obviously turned into this dictator, that thinks that his way is the only way that they'll be able to survive.
I was actually happy you brought that up, because one of my questions was going to be your overall opinion on Norman's change so far from what you've seen. Yeah, so he's definitely a very different character. He's definitely very power hungry, and that's all I'm really going to say about it. From
he thinks he's smarter than what he is. Like, he thinks that being part of this new experimental farm, that he's smarter than everyone, even though I think Ray and Emma have surpassed him in knowledge.
And I think that even throughout the beginning of the story, I think that there's always been a little bit of a downplaying really what Emma is capable of. Emma, really held everything down while Norman was gone, and became, I think, especially during the Goldie Pond arc, she grew so much as a character that Norman just doesn't know, man. He wasn't there for all those big changes that they've been through since they left the farm. They're just not those kids anymore.
I also can't wait for Ratri to get his just desserts. And I think
Yeah.
what's gonna happen is the promise is going to be, you know, to let them deal with the Ratchery clan. So I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna be like, you know what? All right, um, this this clan has already terrorized so many people. We're done, and they're gonna seal off the world while the villains, stay there.
Oh, so pretty much what you're saying is you think that the Vachi will have to stay on the demon side of the world when the kids go over to the other side.
Right.
Right. Cool. Like I said,
Because
I'm gonna be very careful with my words. But I think that's it. That's good prediction.
I don't. There's no way on Earth, on God's green Earth, on the Promised Land's green Earth, that the Lord of the Demons would ever give up a food source unless there's something in return. So,
Because at the end of the day, like, this is how they eat. It's not just like, obviously there's people like Luvis that do it for fun and do it for hunting, but at the end of the day, it's food for them. It's how they eat. So
plus she's talking to the person that is supposed to eat her. Like, so I don't know. It's I know 17's coming out shortly, um, which is nice, for that. Now I want to ask you about when you read it. You read the whole thing, when it was coming out weekly. Did that ever swayed you on when you were buying the books?
Well, I also want to clarify. I didn't necessarily read it all weekly. What I kind of did was, so my journey through the story was when it first was coming out, I was reading it weekly up until probably around the end of the Gracefield arc, the Escape arc. And then I stopped. I watched the anime and I kind of went away from the manga for a while. And at the point I got back into it, there was 2 chapters left. Like there was 2 more weeks before the series ended. So I went back from the beginning, from the chapters I happened. And mind you, at that point, I owned volume 1 through 15. So I read 1 through 15, and in probably one weekend. And then I read everything else that was up to date on the Viz app, right in time to finish the last 2 chapters before it came out. So I did kind of binge read it. It wasn't something I did weekly for a long time. It was cool reading it weekly in the beginning, but for the most part of the story, I binge read it, and I honestly think that it's probably better that way, binge reading it. I think sometimes, not the chapters are super slow, but it's one of those series where I definitely think binge reading it made it better for me. And as far as buying the volumes, at this point, like I said, I read 1 through 15. So because I have 1 through 15, like I'm picking up the last 5 volumes I need, like just whenever. Like I'm not like prioritizing like, oh my gosh, the new chapter come out, the new volume come out, I need to buy it right now. I'll just buy them whenever I need to fill up a little bit of cart space for my order. Um, but I will eventually own the whole thing, and when I do own the whole thing, I'll probably reread the whole thing again because it's a great series.
How are you gonna do that to the series? Oh, I need some card space, so I'll pick up Promised Neverland.
No, like my point is like it's gonna get picked up. I'm just not in a hurry to pick up anymore because I know it's not gonna be read for a while because I'm probably not gonna read it again until the rest of the volumes come out and then I'll reread the whole thing. So it's not a priority at the moment. But don't get me wrong, Promised Neverland is great, and if I look at my shelf and I look back there, if it's not in the top 3, then it's top 5. It definitely at least top. It's up there. I love Promised Neverland.
And of course, we always want to start finishing with some of the titles that came out this week, um, for chapters. So, High School Family, Tokasei Zoku. This is a new series that came out. It's about a whole family that is going to school, which is weird, slice of life type stuff. Uh, the newest chapter for One Piece and My Hero came out today, as well as Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover. Those are the big ones, and the little ones that I would say are like after those big drops is Chainsaw Man, Yakashi Triangle, and then Undead Unluck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's are there any series in the magazine that you're reading weekly, or are you kind of just waiting for the volumes for everything?
Um, uh, Kaiju number 8,
Yeah,
uh,
obviously that one, of course.
and Phantom Seer right now are the only
Mm-hmm.
ones I'm really reading weekly. Everything else is I can just chill off with,
Yeah.
for the time being. But I do feel that there's coming to a point. I mean, One Punch is taking like 2 week hiatuses every time that they come out with something, and that's
It
kind
takes
of
2 weeks. It takes 2 weeks for a trash chapter to come out.
ooh. That,
I had to get you back for the time paradox roast, man.
yeah, well, I mean, let me just tell you, there's 115 more reasons why One Punch is better than Time Paradox.
I'll say this, man. Time paradox got so messed up from the hate from the Japanese audience, man. I'm telling, the wasted potential is crazy there, but
Wasted potential, or they realized that they could be reading something else,
nah, man,
like
it was a
toilet.
good series.
I'd rather I'd rather read toilet paper rolls.
Uh-huh. I heard that one coming as soon as I heard toilet. I was like, okay, here it comes.
I mean, I feel like it's really hard to do like a manga about manga, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, as someone who's a huge fan of Bakuman, I think that it can be done if done right, and I think Bakuman is by far the best example of that. It's truly one of my favorite series. May even be better than Promised Neverland to me, man. I know that's probably stepping on some feathers there, but I love Bakuman.
Bakuman,
Yeah, but I think
man,
my
step off that dick.
no man,
I've yet to
Bakuman.
read Bakuman yet.
I think it's one of those series where like now I will say most people don't like it as much as I do. Like I think I'm probably like the few amount that put it like as high as I put it. But I think if you're a fan of manga, it's definitely a series that makes you understand and makes you appreciate the creators so much more. And it's just a good series in general. I really love Bakuman. But because of my love for Bakuman, I had such high hopes for Time Paradox Ghost Rider, and I was so into it. I think, other than maybe okay, this maybe I don't know. Kaiju number 8 and Time Paradox Ghost Rider, when they first came out, like it hit me, like I knew I loved this series as soon as I read it. Like for this video I read Phantom Seer and I read The Burn the Witch and I liked them, but I didn't get that pop, when you read when you read a series that you just grabs you. And Kaiju number 8 definitely did that for me, but Time Paradox did that for me as well. And I'm sad to see it go.
Right on. As well as some of the major Alkabons that are releasing this month. We have, Demon Slayer, Volume 16, Dr. Stone, Volume 13, Dragon Ball Super, Volume 10, Haikyuu, Volume 40, which I believe it's 40 or 41 is the last of that series. We have, Love is War, Volume 16. We have another Aces story for One Piece, Volume 2 coming out. Skip Beat, Volume 44. Spy Family, Volume 2. That's a big one.
Yeah, I get that.
Beastars, Volume 8. And I know a lot of people like The Way of the Household Husband, Volume 4 is coming out this month. So definitely check out for those.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. I think from the ones that you mentioned, obviously for me, Spy X Family is one you got to. If you're not reading Spy X Family, if you're not collecting those when they come out, go buy them. They're great. It's such a heartwarming, fun series to read. Definitely keep up to date with Spy X Family. And another series that I haven't got into yet, so the newest volume isn't as interesting to me yet, but just in general, I really think I need to stop sleeping on Demon Slayer, man. I think the Demon Slayer volumes, I need to start picking those up.
Yeah, I've yet to read, or I've read the first volume, and I haven't read anything else. Now, the big thing for me is we can even get into this next week, this topic, but a lot of the newer series I like to buy as close to retail price as possible. Now, I know a lot of people are like, retail, why would you spend retail? Because it's something I like, and I'll only buy like super used like prices for stuff I don't like. Um, so that's why I shop a lot with Barnes Noble. Sure, I get a discount, I get free shipping because I'm a member and all that for 25 bucks or whatever. But I feel like that's, I buying used is the biggest toss up fucking gamble in the world. Like me personally, I just want to know that my stuff is not bent or damaged or anything like that,
Mhm.
or getting a full series of Zatch Bell with cat piss all over it. Um,
Yeah. Shout out East Coast manga for that one.
which
Yeah.
I'm fine with dropping $10 on volume, $15 for Berserk or whatever, because I know it's gonna be in good condition, and I know when I'm gonna get it. Instead of
Mhm.
I'm still waiting on my light novels for Vampire Hunter D that I bought 2 weeks ago from eBay.
Well, the two places I'll explain the used manga in just a second. But the two places that I buy the most often, it used to be Amazon, but I don't go to Amazon anymore. I go to Right Stuff is where I do most of my purchasing, but then I do go to Barnes and Nobles. Like I just picked up it's a little spoiler for my next haul. I picked up some Promised Neverland and some Attack on Titan from Barnes and Nobles over the weekend. So Barnes and Nobles I like to go to a little bit, but because they're a little bit more expensive. I like to get them from Right Stuff. You can still get them new and you're supporting the industry, but they're a little bit cheaper.
All
So
right,
those are kind of
all right. Let's
my two.
let's also like cut that. Uh, Supporting the industry, buying stuff doesn't support the industry as much as people think, right? Yes, buy Right Stuff. It's cheaper. It's barely in stock. So when stuff
Yeah.
comes in, like pre-order, or like wait for sale and be the first ones, right? That's a great site. Barnes and Noble's a great site because almost everything's in stock online. Books a Million's great, Amazon's great, and all that. But if you find something, if you find something, don't worry about supporting the industry. And I say I'm not against used, right? I I'm I'm not against used. I'm against um the notion that retail price is this evil thing, right? That's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying don't get a deal. I'm saying like don't ostracize people that have to pay retail price for a book.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that for a long time, that's kind of what I did before I even got into manga tube community, but I was just a collector. That's kind of what I did. I just bought everything from Barnes and Nobles. It wasn't until really got into this community where I started I've used Facebook Market to get them out, and for the most part, I've got some good deals. But I've also had some very unfortunate circumstances happen using that too. That we can dive into it at another time because it's a kind of a longer conversation. But
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah, like the big thing is get used if you want to. My thing is don't screw people over just because you can. Um,
mhm.
and then if somebody screws you over, that's all karma, right? Like if you look at a book and you see that it's not damaged and then it comes damaged and you got a lot of people get screwed over on these type of things, um
Mm-hmm.
where then just buy new. You can buy new. They're not that expensive. They're not like $60 games, right? Um, the big thing with games are they're $60 brand new, and then you get them used for like $54, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with manga, they're $10. If you don't have $10 to spend, um, get the $2 Shonen Jump app every month to
Yeah,
read.
that's what I always tell people when people ask me about um, buying manga and the expenses of buying manga. Dude, if you can't afford manga, like don't get into it. I mean, it is just my expensive hobby. There's nothing wrong, dude. Get the Viz app. The Viz app is great. I love the Viz app. I love reading manga there. And then like if you can buy a couple volumes here and there whenever you can, You don't need to watch these YouTubers who have like 400, manga hauls a month and be like, dang, I got to do that. Get what you can, and then get the Viz app. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
Well, a lot of people aren't even collectors. If you're not wanting to have a bunch of shelves of cardboard and paper that's on there, then you don't really need to buy the manga if you just want to read it. Find an appropriate official app that you want, like, Kadansa, Viz Media with Shonen Jump and all that. Get that app, or you can even, buy it digitally with stuff like, what's that? Bookkeepers? They have, digital libraries, Kindle, Google Play, all that stuff. You can Amazon. You can buy these all digitally as well. So you're still buying, quote unquote, buying the manga, and you can store it without having, half of my room stacked with manga books.
Yeah, I definitely know the pain of that.
But the thing is, I want to tell everyone about is supporting the industry. Is buying manga will support new printings, which supports the industry, but you don't need to, like, supporting the industry. They've already made their money on that printing, right? So whether or not you buy it or not, they've already made money. Now you're supporting the bookstores a lot more if you buy the manga in that bookstore, which I definitely promote. If you have a local bookshop and they have manga, buy from there. Even if it's retail, you're supporting a local business.
Yeah, I think that you make a good point, but I definitely do think that, like you said, once they're out there, they already make the money from those sales. But, especially like certain series that are like when they go out of print, or when you're not really sure if they're gonna keep on going. Buying those series definitely do help, because if you can get a second or third reprint of a series, that's kind of when you start to, know a series is doing well. So I definitely think it does help. I mean, obviously it helps in some way, but maybe not as much as you might think with just, one purchase. But there's a lot of other ways to support it if you can't afford buying manga. I mean, I think even this YouTube community helps the industry a lot. I really do. I think that all these people promoting all these different series and getting other people to buy, new manga and to get into the series, whether it's the anime or manga, I think that there's definitely a lot of ways to support it.
Yeah, I think the big thing is buying manga to read it, just to read it, if you're not wanting to collect the books itself, get the app, buy it digitally. You can store way more manga on your tablet than you can on your walls, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get them for like $6, not even that. Some places, depending on the series, of course, like $3 to $7 per volume. So you're already saving money buying digitally. But that's me. I'm a big old dum and I have 2 shelves and I need a third one.
I'm actually just like you, man. I'm working my third. I'm probably gonna pick that up soon. I don't know. For me, man, I just love, holding the book and having it on the shelf. We're collectors. That's what we like. But there's nothing wrong with just reading it on the Viz app.
Also, that Akira box set. Oh, beautiful.
Dude, I saw that price drop on that. I have too many. Like, I just recently bought a car, and then I have now I have 2 backed up orders on Right Stuff. That's been about a month since I ordered it, and they haven't charged me for it yet. So I couldn't get it because any of these days now, Right Stuff is gonna probably process both of those orders at the same time, and then my bank account's gonna be sad. So I have to hold off on that one. But
don't buy box sets on Right Stuff.
Yeah, I didn't buy box sets. They're just I bought some Berserk volumes that you'll see, and a couple other things. But
what I'm saying is, Amazon, you can buy the box sets for, holy cow, never mind. That went up in price.
Well, you have to be very careful on Amazon because, like, for example, the Bleach box set number 3 is a box set I've been having in my eye on for a long time. and I saw it at one point for like 186, and then just recently I saw it for like 126. So you have to be careful. There's times when it definitely goes down, and you can snag it for a better price. So just be kind of patient with the box sets. But the box sets are a great way if you're a new collector, if you're not really the biggest collector in general. Box sets are a great way to go because they're cheaper and they're easy to just keep in the box and put in a corner, and they're easier.
Definitely. But what I bought Akira 35th anniversary box set for $120 with shipping.
That's not bad. I heard it goes for a lot more than that.
Now on Amazon, it's back up to $180.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how that went down, but yeah, it's if you don't get it now, you're probably gonna have to dish out 300 plus to get it used, which is sad.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing with the manga community. We can talk about another day. The way the prices are for the use. I mean, just to give one like very small example that I think I brought this up to you before that really just bothers me as a collector. I had the first 3 singles for the No Longer Human series, not by Junji Ito, but the other one. It was one of the first series I bought when I first started collecting. I owned all 3 of them, and I really enjoyed reading it. And I have a friend who I'm still friends with, who I love borrow them because he wanted to read them, and he moved, and in the process of the move, he lost them. He can't find them. I know he didn't do it on purpose, but either way, they're lost. And those volumes each go for like, I've seen them for like $300, like $200 for a volume. And I had them, and it makes me annoyed. I can't get them again because people, the prices are way too high. But that's a whole other story. But
yeah, definitely. Well, I'm glad that we had this wonderful Shonen Weekly. Got to talk about some new stuff and some old stuff and some stuff to be. As always, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, as well as go over to Zero's page, which should be in the description, and subscribe to him. He's way better than I am. So,
I mean, you got the subscribers, man. I don't know. You got more than me at the moment.
well, let's not compare dick size because I don't want you to cry. But it's always a fun week, and maybe next week we can dive into some of these more controversial topics because
hey, I'm down, man.
I can definitely be controversial.
Hey, man, I've been watching all these East Coast manga videos that have the whole like manga tube community talking, and I've stayed pretty quiet, so I'm definitely down to talk.
Oh, I'm ready to bust open even bigger controversial topics.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks guys for stopping in. I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day, and take care, guys.